Hello, this is a walkthrough of the fourth task on the second AAT sample assessment for the Level 3 Advanced Synoptic exam. So I am going to share my screen. Okay, so you should now be able to see task 4. So another 15 marker. This one is entirely written. It covers a bit of ethics and then quite a lot of final account preparation. So today's date, 28th of February, X8. You help to record invoices from new places, suppliers, and also to make payments to them. You know that all phone calls on the New Place office phone are recorded. DJ Furniture is a supplier for New Place. Janie Green is the finance director at DJ. She has telephoned your office several times during February. Each time she has said that DJ has cash flow difficulties and asked you when certain large invoices will be paid. Each time you have replied that invoices will be paid when they become due in line with New Place procedures. On 21st, right, so bear in mind that's all to the office and we know that those phone calls are recorded, so there's evidence of what exactly has been said there. On the 21st of February, you received a call on your private mobile from Janie. Not quite sure how she got your private mobile, but never mind. She offered you tickets for an expensive event. You said you weren't sure if you could attend and ended the call. Right, so not a great response. Should probably have put her more straight than that, but didn't accept them, haven't done anything wrong, so you've just been a little bit unclear. So a few days later, 27th of February, you receive another private call from Janie demanding that you immediately pay an invoice that was not yet due. She says that if you refused, she would tell Mo that you demanded expensive tickets from her in return for making early payments. She sounds very pleasant. So part A1, describe 2 threats to your ethical principles. Right, so a couple of things to point out here. Describe, not just state, can't just put them down and leave it. We've got to write a short sentence, but it's 2 threats and it's only 2 marks, so we're certainly not going to write very much. The other thing to point out is that it's threats. So whenever you get a question on ethics, be really careful. Are they asking for principles? In which case your choice would be popular people chat in offices, professional competence, professional behaviour, confidentiality, integrity, and objectivity. Or, as here, is it asking about the threats, in which case your choices are from Simon Says Accounting is Fun. So SS, so we've got self-interest, self-review. It says I is for intimidation. Simon says, oh no, I missed out the A, which is advocacy, and F for familiarity. So there are choices if it asks for threats. So here it's quite clear that this woman, what's her name again? Janie, is making threats. So she is putting us into an intimidating situation. Try and apply it to the question. So intimidation, Janie is making threats. And the other thing would be perhaps be self-interest, being offered tickets, which might be tempting. Right now, that's all you need to write for 2 marks. Get to the point, state the right answer, and then a very brief summary. Oh, I've even got 2 boxes to do that in. So intimidation in the first box and self-interest in the second. Right, then it says, describe 2 actions you could now take in order to work within the ethical code. So again, it's describe, and these have got to be practical things. What would you actually do? So action 1, well, you'd probably speak to your line manager, wouldn't you? So I think that's the most obvious thing I would do. Speak to line manager about Janie's threats. And then second of all, clearly refuse to take the tickets being offered, and stick to company payment schedules. So don't waver. That's enough. All right, it's only 2 marks, 1 mark for each one. Your role at New Place includes supporting sustainability throughout the business and measuring sustainability. So sustainability very much in vogue at the moment. So it's about protecting the interests of future generations while still sort of managing to sort of make a profit from our businesses. So what's the question? Give 1 reason why sustainability is important. Well, that's it really, isn't it? Sustainability ensures that the needs of future generations are not compromised by current day actions. Well, there'll be nothing left. That's what all the sort of climate policies and the like, and all these green tariffs that we're seeing on our energy, etc., is all about. 1 mark, that's enough. Right, next bit. You received the following email from Mo Hussein. Right, so who's Mo? He's my boss, I think. I'm Chris. Mo is, yeah, he's my line manager. Hello, Chris. I know you are finalising the statement of profit or loss and the statement of financial position for New Place for the year ended 31st of December X7. I would like to know, oh no, is he? Hang on, who's Mo? Let's go back up. If I forget, this is probably why, because I didn't look at this first, you can always click on this. So I am Chris Makepeace, a part qualified accounting technician. You work for New Place, a business which retails office equipment. New Place is owned and run by Mo Hussein, right? That explains why Mo Hussein isn't that interested in knowledgeable about the accounts. So he's the owner of the business. So he knows that I'm finalising the statement of profit or loss and statement of financial position for the business, year ended December X7. I would like to know more about the accounting principles they are based on and how the 2 statements link together. Also, an accountant friend of mine was telling me about the fundamental qualitative characteristics of useful financial information the other day, but I didn't understand. I'm laughing because I can just imagine the conversation at the pub. I would like you to do the following, and then there's quite clearly listed 4 things that we have to do. And it says, I am not an accountant. Please communicate your responses clearly. Right, so here we are with our reply. So first of all, we've got to choose a suitable subject. So they haven't put a subject on this, but so something that sort of summarises what we are doing. So accounting principles and the financial statements, something like that, I would say. So accounting principles and financial statements. So just sort of pulling out sort of what you think the main thrust of the question is about. I'm just going to have to make this smaller quickly to zoom down here. Right, this is going to be a bit tricky because I have to keep going up and down. Never mind. Right, so we're writing an email. The AAT is perfectly fine with hello Mo. Bear in mind he's the owner of the business for whom, you know, for which you work, so reasonably friendly, good. And then some sort of opener. Now you don't need to get too embroiled in detail, just thank you for your email is perfectly adequate. And then you can just launch into answering the questions. Now, I appreciate that some of you are going to want to say, thank you for your email dated such and such. I will now try my best to answer these questions. Right? You don't need all of that. You can just go straight in. I don't know. I'm a little bit the same. I mean, I want to say in response to your questions, just to give it a little bit more flow. You don't really have to do that. So we're now going to look and see what number 1 said. So number 1 says, describe the 2 key assumptions that underlie the preparation of financial statements using a relevant example in each case. Relevant example. So what does New Place do again? Retails office equipment. So if we can make it relevant to that, so much the better. All right, so retailing office equipment. Right, so number 1. The 2 key assumptions are as follows. And then the examiner's report even says we can use bullet points. Now, you're not going to be able to use actual bullet points because it's not Word, but you can do little dashes like this, which is absolutely fine. Right, so going concern is the first key assumption, which means the business will continue to trade for the foreseeable future, which means at least 1 year from the date the accounts are signed. I could go on and say, if this is not the case, we would need to prepare the accounts on a breakup basis where the assets are valued at a lower amount, but there's 4 parts to this question. It's only, what was it, 10 marks, the whole thing? Can't remember, let's check. Yeah, the whole thing's only 10 marks, so let's not get too waved down with it all. Right, so then the other one is the accruals concept, which means that all income and expenses are recognised in the accounting period to which they relate. An example of this is depreciation of any long-term assets the business holds. Right, so that's sufficient, I think, for number 1. Right, number 2. Right, number 2, let's go up and see what the question is. So number 2 says, describe one of the 2 fundamental qualitative characteristics of useful financial information. Right, so I'm thinking to myself, right, what are the 2 fundamental qualitative characteristics? So number 1 is relevance. So I could talk about, are the accounts relevant and what that means? The other one is faithful representation. So faithful representation, that's the one about the accounts being neutral, free from bias, and all that sort of stuff, being complete, being accurate. I'm going to do relevance, just because I want to. So I would put here, one of the fundamental qualitative characteristics is relevance. And then I've got to explain what that means. So this means that the key users of a set of accounts, namely investors and lenders, will be able to use the financial statements to make meaningful business decisions. Right, so relevance is all about being able to make decisions. I could have talked about faithful representation, which would all have been about the accuracy of the accounts. I could have picked either one. Right, third point. Explain what the statement of financial position tells me. Right, so what do we know about the statement of financial? Is this going to get bigger? Yeah. Right, so number 3. The statement of financial position tells you the worth of the business at a snapshot in time. Firstly, I'm thinking about the top half of a statement of financial position. It shows the assets. I could put an example, machinery and inventory, less the liabilities. I could put an example, trade payables and loans, which equals the worth of the business. This is represented, now I'm thinking about the bottom half of the statement of financial position. This is represented by the capital of the business, which is calculated by adding the current year profit to the amount of capital at the beginning of the year. Could also say any amounts withdrawn by the owner for personal use during the year will be subtracted, but I think that's sufficient. Right, number 4. Explain one way in which the statement of financial position links with the statement of profit or loss. Oh, or I'm assuming that's, yeah, or loss. There we go. That's a bit tricky, isn't it? Lucky you saw what that said. Right. So one way that the statement of financial position links with the statement of profit or loss. Right. So there must be more than one option. So the first one is basically what I've already said here, that we get the profit for the year and we add it. So the profit for the year in the statement of profit or loss is then added in the capital section of the statement of financial position. I could just repeat that, but I'm thinking I might go for something else just so that I sort of don't have any risk of sort of saying the same thing twice and only getting one lot of marks. So I'm thinking about the closing inventory. So the closing inventory appears as an asset in the statement of financial position, but because it hasn't actually been used or sold to a final customer yet, it is deducted from the cost of sales in the statement of profit or loss. So I think I'm going to talk about that link. So one way in which the statement of profit or loss and statement of, no, that's dangerous as well, because we shouldn't be using what they called when you just put the letters. We shouldn't be doing that. So let's just put statement of profit or loss like that, and then put it in brackets in case we want to use that term again. One way in which the statement of profit or loss is linked with the statement of financial position is that the closing inventory appears as an asset in the statement of financial position in the statement of profit or loss, the closing inventory is deducted from the cost of sales figure because the closing inventory has not yet been used in production or sold to a customer, and so should not form part of the current year's expenses. And if I want to be really flash, I could say in accordance with the accruals concept explained earlier. That's possibly a bridge too far, but you get the idea. Right, then don't forget to finish it off. Now, all you need to do is say kind regards. You might feel the need to say, if I can be of any further assistance, please let me know. It's fine, but I don't think it's going to get you any marks. And then you just sign it off, not yourself, whoever you've been told you are in the scenario. Okay, so that's how I would approach this. I would make sure that it's nicely spaced out. I would make sure that each thing I'm asked for in the question is numbered. I would use bullet points where I can. Out of interest, I've had a look at the examiner's report on this, and where are we? They talk about the topics that are likely to come up in this wholly written task. So they've said it will be about preparing final accounts. So it's definitely coming from the final accounts prep unit, this big email, with a bit of ethics at the beginning. The ethics topics look likely to be principles, threats, safeguards, and sustainability. And the topics you are likely to get here are difference between different types of business organizations. So your sole traders, partnerships, accounts, companies, charities. They mention uses of the statement of profit or loss and statement of financial position. So we saw here a paragraph about the statement of financial position. You might like to think about what you would write if the question asked about the statement of profit or loss. It talks about the underlying concepts, which we've done in this question, and also how the accounting equation links to the financial statements. So that's basically what we've done here, although we didn't mention the accounting equation. The accounting equation is assets less liabilities equals capital. So what I've written there can be very easily mapped to the accounting equation. And I don't think you're going to get anything else in this written question. I've got to try and find how to end the video. Where's it gone? Oh, there we go. Thank you.